After his triumphant mission in Australia, Chris had barely settled back into his routine when a new storm began brewing in the bustling metropolis of New York. Just days after his arrival in Washington, an emergency briefing was called at the highest levels of the government. Chris was summoned to the White House once more. This time, the stakes were higher than ever before. The President of the United States met with Chris personally, flanked by top military and intelligence officials. The briefing room was filled with an air of tension as the President laid out the details of the mission. New York City, the beating heart of America's financial system, had become the latest target of the world's largest and most dangerous criminal organization, the Shadow Syndicate. The Shadow Syndicate was not your average gang. They were an international network of highly skilled thieves, hackers, and assassins, feared for their ability to operate in complete secrecy. Their leader, known only as the Phantom, was a shadowy figure who had orchestrated some of the most sophisticated heists in modern history. The syndicate had now set its sights on New York, and in a matter of weeks, they had already begun dismantling the city's financial infrastructure. Billions of dollars had been siphoned from major banks, private institutions were being blackmailed, and panic was beginning to spread through Wall Street. The situation was critical, and the president made it clear that only one man was capable of stopping the syndicate: Chris. His reputation as the world's greatest detective had only grown after his success in Australia, and now his skills were needed more than ever to save New York from total financial collapse. Chris accepted the mission without hesitation. The syndicate was unlike any foe he had faced before, but he was ready for the challenge. He was flown to New York immediately and, upon landing, was greeted by a team of elite agents from the FBI and NYPD's Special Task Force. At the helm of the task force was Special Agent Rachel Donovan, a sharp and determined investigator who had been chasing the Shadow Syndicate for years, only to see them slip through her fingers time and again. "Chris, we've been preparing for this moment," Agent Donovan said as she handed him a thick file filled with everything they had gathered on the syndicate. "They've been one step ahead of us at every turn, but with your expertise, we're hoping to finally bring them down." Chris spent the next several days in intense preparation, poring over the syndicate's files, studying their methods, and mapping out their operations across New York. The syndicate was methodical, precise, and ruthless. They operated in the shadows, never leaving a trace, and their web of contacts and informants extended deep into the city's criminal underworld. The first lead came from an unexpected source, a notorious hacker known as Cypher, who had once worked for the syndicate but had turned against them after they betrayed him. Cypher had gone into hiding but resurfaced after hearing about Chris's involvement. Through a series of encrypted messages, Cypher provided Chris with a critical piece of information: the syndicate's next target, a high-security vault beneath one of the largest banks in New York. Chris immediately launched into action. He and Agent Donovan assembled a team of elite agents, including cyber specialists, tactical operatives, and undercover agents. They prepared a plan to ambush the syndicate during their next heist.